country. And I mean, you cut one the wrong way, and all of a sudden, hey, it smells and tastes delicious.
Yeah,
and
right.
All of a sudden, it's in all of our candy, and we're live on the Metal Lab this week, folks. I went in there hot, and to the surprise of my co-hosts, who include the wonderful Mr. Mike White,
hello,
in all his tattooed glory, and Jay.
Hi.
And I'm here in bright red, the opposite of what I usually am, because I totally forgot that this is the least eye-pleasing color on screen possible. All right, how's everybody's week in Hero Click been? Mike, how's your week been?
Oh, it's pretty good. Again, the once-a-week event, Sunday event. This week it was month 2 of the Days of Future Past multi-month event. As people may remember, I won month 1 at my local venue. This week, sadly, we had a turnout of 6 players. Yeah, that's kind of sad. And I know I'm saying that as the person who's in the lead, so clearly that would be in my best interest. But no, I prefer lots of people showing up because then there's lots of different games, lots of different variations. It's fun. And as well, I was using it as my last sort of real competitive practice for Canada Cup. We will, some of us do a practice on Wednesday, but you know, when you practice with friends, it's competitive, but it's not clearly, right? You know, when you always want to try your teams out in actual tournaments, because then you're under all the restrictions of time, of, you know, not taking actions back and all these kind of things. So anyway, so unfortunately only 6 people showed up. Of course, my first game was Devin. Everybody knows Devin, local player.
I think he's beaten all of us at some point.
Yep, and the team he has currently is his sort of meta nationals and whatever team. It's a very good team with Moon Dragon Chase, Lockjaw, Unseen, Mangog, and Groot. And Mangog is really the one that people should worry about more. It's such a vicious colossal retaliation. It just wrecks teams, and especially my team, which I won't go into too many details because I don't know. I'm keeping my team a little closer to the hip, even all the locals know what it is, because I don't have a lot of damage reducers, so he can totally lay waste with Mangog. And we played at one point in time in practice, and he lay waste to my team with Mangog. So I was trying to prevent that from happening. My biggest concern with his team is actually Unseen, for a variety of reasons of what Unseen can do to mess with my team's potential. So I've been fiddling around with a strategy to actually kill his Unseen in one action. And Devin won map roll. When Devin picks map, he usually picks the underground against me. I don't know how much he picks it against other people, but it worked well, really slowing down my team and giving him a lot of coverage and space between us. But I kind of knew that as well, and I had it in my plan, and I implemented the plan I had in place to kill his Unseen in one action, and, well, multiple actions leading up to the attacking action that did it, and it worked. And I was really in shock because sometimes I have really elaborate ideas with clicks, and I get about halfway through and I realize I've totally put the cart before the horse. You know, this one step has to happen before this other, and I've kind of got it reversed. But so it really worked. So that, for me, was kind of a victory in and of itself, because Devon's is one of the teams I'm really afraid of. After that, though, I played more aggressive than I needed to. I was winning. I was up on points, and he wasn't able to cross retaliate on me because I used a call-in to take out Unseen. I used a call-in Cyclops, figuring, you know, precision strike. At least he's only got a 33% chance, a 5 or 6 now with his crazy super senses. So anyway, I ended up losing that game. I pressed too far. I was too aggressive. I tried some things. And like I just mentioned, I had one elaborate idea of doing something and completely misplaced. And then what made it even worse is I didn't even get to do the thing I wanted to do that I placed the people for in the first place. So the placement was completely unnecessary and then cost them their lives, and that cost me the game. So that sucked, but I'm not really attached to the results of the Days of Future Past, and this was really testing the limits of what I could do against a team like Devon's, and I feel like the loss was a win for me in that respect. My next round was against, Kirk. That's his name? Yeah, Jay? I'm horrible with names. Kirk.
Yeah, that was
Thurgood? What's his last name again? I apologize.
I think he has a different last name than he has on Facebook. I can't remember.
Well,
so for all we know, it's Jonathan McNarly or something like that, because what was it, Corey from something completely different?
Yeah, it could happen. Who knows what it is? But anyway, Kirk has been coming out more recently. Hi Amber, and he didn't build a tough enough team. I think he missed the fine print where it said it was a competitive event. And Kirk loves the game. He can make competitive teams, but he decided to make an Age of Apocalypse based team. And yeah, I was ripping his team apart, and he conceded because I took out the only thing on his team that could really do anything to me on, I think, turn 2. So yeah, he realized that it was just going to be a lot of me doing exactly what I wanted, and that he had underbuilt for what everybody else had brought. So unfortunately, he dropped. I feel bad for that, because I love it when everybody gets to play. And again, Hero Clicks, I love it. My third round, my final round, was against Cecil, another local player. He hasn't been coming out as much. I'm really glad that Cecil was able to come out. I think he's a great player, and I think he could have. I don't think he wants to be as competitive. Is the only reason he's not as competitive, because I think he definitely has the skill for it. He had an X-Men team, which, strangely enough, he used the Blackbird, but he didn't pay the 5 points for the resource. But he had a lot of IDs. Like, I think he had like 6 IDs. So anyway, I'm not sure why he didn't, but nevertheless, he did the Blackbird. He did Super Rare Cyclops. He had like a wolf. He had the Chase Jean Grey, and he had the Prime Emma Frost.
Huh.
Yeah, it was interesting. I'm not sure why. But again, I won map roll, and the design of my team, again, defensively, it makes it really hard for people to attack. He really wasn't able to attack early. I murdered his Professor X because, Professor X is a jerk and sees everybody everywhere and makes them move around. And I didn't want that to happen. So I murdered Professor X, I think, turn 2, turn 3. And pretty much was able to do most of what I wanted. Lost some points. There were a couple of moments Cecil pulled off some sweet moves and some surprises on me. But ultimately, my team was really firing on all cylinders. Like everything that I had been really working hard and changing and adjusting in this team suddenly was coming together, which was nice. Dice, as always, weren't always in my favor, but it was mitigated by some of the things I put in there. And it was a fun overall event. I was happy with the games I played. I wasn't happy that Kirk dropped, but I always love playing against people who love this game and they like their teams. I finished second, so that's not bad because I won the first month and second in the second month. Devin won, but Devin wasn't there in the first month, so I'm still in a pretty good position to actually win the whole thing, which would be neat to have a Tri-Sentinel. But it was a good day of clicks. I had fun, and I'm happy for where my Canada Cup team is at. But I think I've actually finally solidified it. Of course, saying that, everybody that knows me knows that I have changed my mind at the last minute the night before on multiple occasions. So anything could happen.
Sometimes at the cost of some of our sleep.
Oh,
not
totally.
that any of us were going to get any sleep in that particular hotel room. Ugh.
No, not in the murder room. Not in the murder room.
Hey, Jay, you actually got to play this week.
Surprisingly. I didn't get to play at 4-1 because there were not sufficient. I mean, it's a 50-50 shot. I feel like it happens more often than not that I don't get to play if I don't want to create a buy. But Otherwise, Wednesday playtesting was good. The same team, same whatever. People are telling me that they're happy I'm not playing at the Canada Cup, so that's something. And then
I could totally agree to that. Yes, we are
it's
very
weird
happy.
though, because like I don't think I can beat Devin, but his team is weird and one that nobody. It's not like, I mean, yeah, his team is not like established other people play it sort of team. Like it's kind of is similar to some other teams, but it's still like, I mean, not really like any other teams. I'm not really worried about that. I'm not playing until like opens. That's fine. Otherwise, I played at Comic Warehouse's Days of Future Past. Last month, I went 2-1, and then the two people that went 3-0 either didn't play or judged. So it was pretty much anybody's game. I think basically who else was there that was 2-1? Probably Patrick. Aubrey was also 2-1. I brought just a stupid, because what was the build? It was bring 200 points, modern characters. No like weird additions, no ID cards, no nothing bigger than a peanut. So I brought the Mike Payne style action after or I guess Mike Payne and or Emily action after taxi team. I had Doc Ock, Title Batgirl, Dr. Kilbrew, Overdrive to carry, other filler of some sort or other. Karen Page to give me. Oh, there we go. I mean, to be fair, I brought an okay team last time, and people brought. There was like 2 or 3 Chase Hawkeyes.
There was at least 2 Chase Hawkeyes and like 5 X-Men teams. So
it was
people brought the people who brought hard though last month were nowhere to be seen this month. We only had 8 players in attendance this time around.
Yep. So I ended up going 2-1. I lost to Aubrey, who ended up winning the whole event. He basically bought the Turtles Unplugged starter, played the 4 Turtles, played a Mudman, and 2 of the other Pogs that were really inconsequential. Mudman didn't do anything because he ended up in hindering. I would have just sidestep. Like he made New U1 attack. What happened? And he managed to his gravity feeds that he bought. He maintained his TMNT ally theme, and my packs I pulled nothing that mattered at all. Unfortunately, the selection wasn't ideal. Although I did end up getting. Well, yeah, Aubrey ended up getting a bunch of Shredder Returns packs with nothing really good. I got 1 with nothing, and then a bunch of Undead. So that wasn't really a thing. But yeah, I lost to Aubrey. Those starter turtles. Those are some brutal turtles.
They're something indeed.
Yeah. Although Aubrey wouldn't necessarily won the tournament because Aubrey won the last game against Tom by last action. Like literally everything that happened to make him win was in the last turn. It was a great game to watch. I didn't play on Sunday, and now I'm not able to play test on Wednesday, so I guess I play never.
There's WKOs coming up.
Yeah, November. We'll see.
Which is something we can cover in a second, because I don't have much to talk about as my one chance to play. Unfortunately, Aiden, who usually judges over at the Comic Warehouse, was out with a bad back. So I had to play. On the plus side, that means I got the cards, so there's that. Apparently, my goal of not trying to get them all has been thwarted by getting them all.
Don't rub it in.
Which is the least worst problem to have. I know, right? It is what it is. It was exciting to see some of the stuff. It's made me rethink a couple ideas I had for Canada Cup, which I will go over in fabulous detail as we enter into the Mind of Madness this week. Because this is the last week I can run that show, and it's targeted towards the ROC Cup. And then from here, we will continue our all common builds, as we're going to try to run a big push for that format going into the new year. And of course, I have at least 1 constructed, if not 2 constructed WKOs, depending on whether or not Elmsvale is outside of the realm of the 2 in 401 games in Whitby. So that said, time to go previews. Preview season, and Battle World is upon us, and Thanos is also upon us. and this is the Prime Common figure number 7B. He's got the Battle World Other, Eternal, Minions of Thanos, and Nova Corps keywords. He's traded Stealth during Force Construction. Oh, sorry, this is called Infiltrate the Core. During Force Construction, choose a generic keyword or a Battle World keyword. Thanos gains the chosen keyword. Time to stop my duplicates and reveal myself as a second trait. Free, deal 1 unavoidable damage to another friendly character that's adjacent to an opposing character. Once per turn, when a character of 25 or more points is KO'd by Thanos, give Thanos an infinity token, 1 stone away from the infinite. Free, modify X different combat values of Thanos by +2 until your next turn, where X is the number of infinity tokens. And he's got a special damage power, which is on the first 5 clicks of his 175-point dial, his first 3 clicks of his 140-point dial. Travel back in time to try again. Probability control. When Thanos uses it to target an attack that would have hit Thanos and misses him, after all re-rolling, generate a figure number 7A Thanos duplicate on click number 1 that appears after the orange KO this game. It has 0 points for all effects, including scoring. Mike, what's your takeaway on this Thanos? And this is dial 175 or 140. He's got power cosmic. What are your thoughts here on Thanos?
He's interesting. I think I mentioned on one of the other shows I've been rereading a lot of the Battle World stuff recently. I know this storyline. It's the last of the Nova Corps is actually this family of 4 people and their dog who all have Nova Corps helmets. It's awesome seeing a dog fly around with a Nova Corps helmet. And Thanos infiltrates this family and acts like a refugee, and because he knows they'll lead him to the Infinity Stones. And actually, the Nova Corps has a whole suit that runs off of them. It's pretty cool. He's crazy weird. Wow. I don't even know where to begin with him because, I mean, there's so many things you can manipulate with him. First one I saw Nova Corps, I was a little excited because of the 150-point Nova and his trait giving protected outwit, but he's got power cosmic, so what does he care? I'm really not sure about those starting dials and their point values. Sealed, I'd play him. Sure, I'll play him at 175 points. Why wouldn't I? I've still got 125 left to build with. It's power cosmic. His special powers and stuff are pretty crazy, and you could have some fun with that. It'd be way easier to fit him onto a theme team, potentially, because you could just, well, he's already got Battle World Other, but anyway. I like him. I think he just looks like, what's the right word? Like just a real powerhouse figure that you're excited to pull in a sealed event. You'll play him, but will he run rampant in the meta? I don't know. His stuff feels a little situational to me and a little too costed to go for it. I mean, I like Pulse Wave, but it's only a 10 attack, 17 defense is pretty low. There's lots of things like Psychic Blast to get through that. So cool figure, play him in sealed, not meta.
All right, Jay?
I just was researching something to see if... Yeah, it's a really good thing that Shredder Illusions are not 25 points because... Oh my god, that'll be quite a combo. Yeah, he looks like a fun beat stick that's not necessarily meta. Like, he could be at full points, maybe in, like, the future when different stuff is a thing. I don't know if stealth without improved movement of any kind is really weird. But there's so much shenanigans to be had with the trait. I always like keyword shenanigans, but I don't think I see it. Like, without stealth busting being a ranged character, it's kind of iffy. I want it to be meta, but I just don't know if it happens. But it's definitely possible.
That's what it feels like. You're looking at it like, oh, look at this powerful piece. And, like, you feel like you're drawn to make it happen. But I think, like Thanos, it's just a quest that leads to disaster. And half the universe being dead.
Yeah, this is a sealed and fun play figure for me. All right, next up, Destroyer Thor. No, we've talked. No, have we not? No, we haven't talked about this one.
This is the non-prime.
Yeah, this is the non-prime. So Destroyer Thor has Asgardian Battleworld Asgard armor, police, and robot keywords. He ignores blocking and breaks through it for movement. First trait, Crack the Case. Once per turn, when an opposing character within 4 squares and lines of fire makes an attack, give Destroyer Thor an evidence token. Free, remove 2 evidence tokens to make an attack. Second trait, Betrayed by an Unthinking Machine. Once per game per opponent. When Destroyer Thor would hit a character on that opponent's force, that opponent may choose to have the hit become a miss instead. And then a special movement power on his first 2 on the 125-point clicks, and the last 2 on the 125 or 75-point dial. Pursuit of Justice, Flurry, Sidestep. If Destroyer Thor hasn't used Flurry this turn, he can use Sidestep a second time, but then can't use Flurry this turn. He's a giant, indomitable, flies with the PD team ability. And a miasma of really cool combat powers. Jay, what do you think of Destroyer Thor?
I think that WizKids definitely made him cost less than he should with the trait.
Yep.
Like, obviously he takes away points, but still, he's also like, the thing with the trait is that he's costed such that he's not your primary attacker. So, okay, you make him not hit 1 attack, but I have a whole other rest of the team. I think you almost definitely play him in sealed, depending on how much top dial invincible there is on the big guns. Drawing blocking is always good. I like the double sidestep, maybe to do Collins in modern constructed sort of thing, or to just set up a psychic blast. You can do some cool stuff. Definitely hype for the figure as far as just playing for fun goes. That is 100% for sure.
Okay, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, for sure I can see you playing on some fun teams. He's got an interesting combination of powers. 75 points, I mean, you could get away with a lot. A character who's got charge, a flying character with charge, 11 attack, super strength, exploit weakness, with an 18 invincible. That's great. Like, I think exactly what Jay said, that definitely, I think he took a hit on points because of the fact of that trait. And that trait, unless I'm sure there's somebody out there maybe who can think of someone's special power that benefits from figures missing, maybe, and could turn this into meta as a result, play him at 75 points and do that. Sure, but that alone makes me say there's no way he's meta. Like, how could you ever give your opponent the option of negating that first attack? Like, especially in the climate of the current meta. There's so much alpha striking that happens, and then there's also the sort of unkillable team stuff. Why add another pointless attack? Like, how many 0-point bystanders do I kill in games now and realize, man, I've killed like 7 things and I have 0 points. What the hell's going on? Oh, well, why don't I throw a miss in while I'm at it? Yeah, no. Fun
you
figure.
can make up to 3 attacks a turn.
I know.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, it's still, I don't know.
I just want to.
You shouldn't be playing him and go for a clutch attack and be like, "Oh, what a surprise! You made it miss." Like,
no, but it's just like the stratagem of hurting your own guys, and like these are things that I have difficulty playing because they backfire on me a lot. So for myself personally, I can't give a miss to me in a game. I get enough of them all on my own.
I think
for me, that's why I can't.
I feel like we're in an environment of a game where people don't look at their opponent's cards. So I feel like obviously you should offer your opponent your cards to read, but I feel like it's an effect what your opponent could totally forget. And it's like, what's the etiquette here? Do you ask every single time he hits? Like, do you cancel now?
Man,
it's kind of weird.
I gotta go to the don't be a dink though, man. Like,
right. But there's no tournament etiquette, like.
Well, it's the same etiquette you follow on probs and super senses and shape change. Just give them the hesitations. Like, okay, so that's a hit. You look at them and they go, "Yep," and then they turn the dial. It's like, okay, go. Right. That's the etiquette. They I mean,
it's also fun because like if you're planning to make multiple attacks in a turn, you can be like, okay, you can make the decision. You might make the wrong decision because. Sure. Yeah, you made my psychic blast miss, but I have other attacks or whatever. Like,
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, the 75-point figure is great. The evidence tokens, he's only taking up like a quarter of the points on your build. I'm sure you could do a lot of stuff with that, and charge super strength, exploit green. That's amazing on a flying character. I think he's great that way.
He's a flying giant reach character. Can we add that to it?
Yeah, like I just will shy away from him because of that miss. I just knowing me, I would forget that.
I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to be the guy that misses twice in a turn and then attacks with Destroyer and says, "Do you want the super friend or not?"
Hey, well, there you go, CJ. That's great. You came up with an opportunity for that to be useful. That's good. Yeah. That's great. See, there you go. You've just scored some points. He just went up in value to me.
And I also want to point out, Giants with PD team ability are so good.
Yeah. Well, a flying giant too, so he could be carrying somebody who then makes that ranged attack on the next turn. 75 points Indomitable means he could be a call-in for a Cyclops who could benefit from that PD help. You know,
or it could be a Cyclops who's getting PD and enhancement on the 125-point version.
Plus, if you've got this guy on your team and you get stuck on something like the underground map, well, you can use him to just move through things and dig holes, right? There's a lot of value to him at the 75 points. Even 125.
Yep.
I mean,
if you are careful enough to not hedge like the one attack that your opponent makes a miss on you in that case, great. That you got to play. This is not going to be on like a character who we play the same way we play anybody else. You have to really think your way through this character and kind of look at turns and go, maybe this is a call-in turn. But I think there's a lot of potential in this guy, especially the ability to move 4 and then drop an ID card.
He's a finesse piece.
Yes. Finally finessed, as it finically were. Next up, Dinos Thor. He's a Dinos Thor. I missed that.
Did you actually miss that? Oh,
I missed that because I didn't say it out loud.
Yeah, fair enough.
Dinos Thor. Dude, I've been playing Magic for 20 years, and I just realized that there was a character called a Thallid who's a plant person. I was like, oh my god, I've been saying salad for years. Anyway, Dinos Thor has Asgardian, Battle World Asgard, Animal, Police, and Warrior keywords. Crack the case as well on him. I guess this is going to be a common thing where once per turn, a character within 4 squares in line of fire makes an attack. Dinos Thor gets an evidence token, remove 2 evidence tokens, make an attack. So I'm not going to go into detail about that much more. Obstruction of Justice. When Dinos Thor takes damage from an opposing character's attack after resolutions, Dinos Thor can use Earthbound Neutralize until that opponent's next turn. Weird choice. Oh, that's going to be like the can use is the forced to use sort of situation. Damage power, Scales of Justice, free. Modify an adjacent opposing character's combat values by -1 until your next turn. If you do, modify adjacent friendly character's combat values by +1 until your next turn. He comes in at 90 points. He's a super rare PD team ability as well. Indomitable, flies, and has that special damage power in his first 4 clicks. We're on to Mike for Dinos Thor.
Can't get over that now.
I was today's years old when I heard that.
Yeah, right. Well, he's kind of an interesting piece. The crack the case comes from the fact that the Thors are like the police force for Doom in the whole Battle World thing. Yeah, and there was a whole murder mystery that they did where one of the Thors gets killed and they have to try and figure out who did it. I kind of like that. Obviously, any opportunity to get free attacks is huge in this game, especially because you could, with his hypersonic, move in, do an attack, and if he's got those 2 evidence tokens, he's got another attack afterwards. That damage power is pretty cool. I dig it. I don't know, 90 points. I guess that's it. He's definitely a not bad piece of flying hypersonic character, 11 attack, 4 damage, solid values. I like 18 super senses. His values defensively don't dip much, right? It's like 18, 17, 18. Regen with the shape change at the end and face teleport plus Indomitable means you're more than likely kind of able to hopefully get out of trouble at the end and not lose him. But yeah, That the obstruction of justice mixed with the 90-point value, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that you want to invest in him on the meta front. Sealed, yeah, sure, why not? Again, hypersonic and flight and fun stuff there, and maybe you'll get some more Thors that you could pair him up with, and that'd be interesting.
All right, Jay.
Oh, it's gonna be so stupid with Sealed because they there was an unboxing and apparently there's a Boar Thor. It's gonna get stupid.
A Boar Thor? A Boar Thor with Dinothor.
Yeah, and it's also too bad that this is the 1 year there's no murder mystery dinner at the World Cup because that would have been too funny. Scott Crampton doing the Asgardian pseudo-British accent. But as far as this character goes, I think he's really good. I'm okay with the second trait because unless they're like sniping him, he gets the token or one of the 2 tokens. If you hit him, that's already half of what he needs to make a free attack. His stats are incredible. Like, again, it's a negative trait, but it definitely makes itself known in that point value. And I feel like the damage power might be a little too situational unless you can like really force it. Like if you're playing a Groot and you drop the walking wood and then you hypersonic and then do this, I think it's going to matter less than it's wanted. You definitely played in Sealed.
Well, remember, it's adjacent opposing characters that you minus the value to, right?
Yeah, but then you also get the adjacent friendly +1.
Yeah, no, I thought you were saying that you were minusing your own walking wood.
No, I meant to get the pluses. The stats are all good. I just don't know if this is the kind of figure that becomes meta. It's one of those characters that's really good. It just doesn't do the thing that is needed to be done. Like we've talked about those before. It's definitely good though. But it's just it just doesn't quite fit any particular role that you really need in the competitive scene, kind of thing.
I'm gonna go as far as this. We saw in Harley Quinn and the Gotham Girls an attempt at making a negative that would slightly drop points, and they didn't drop enough. I feel like we've just looked now at 2 characters who dropped enough with a negative as far as points are concerned. Like, this is a bargain at 90 points based on the new scale of pointing and everything like that. Like, this should be a 100-point to 120-point dial on the current scaling of points. Like, and it's effective. It's a positive that gives a positive with the scales of justice. Like, if you happen to get adjacent to an opposing character, not a hard thing with hypersonic, and you can then line up something with him, say, get him close enough to, or get a destroyer close enough to him to, take advantage of that giant reach and smash with a flurry at +1 to his stats. One of them's going to be a miss, but that's the only one for a game. So, or is it? Yeah. So there's a lot of things going on with this character, and I feel like there's going to be a discomfort for the first little bit because HeroClix has never gotten this far as like a negative on characters, or never done it to such a degree that it's worth it. And now that we're seeing it, I think players at first are going to be uncomfortable with it, and then they're going to see it work, and then it's going to be comfortable again. And I think the closest we saw prior to this would have been Metron, and Metron dominated a meta. So
I'm going to mention Chase Green Arrow, considering he just won a major tournament main force. Like his trait is brutal.
But you can work around it. I mean, he's not unable to do things, and he's also.
I mean, it's weird because, you could push to a con with him, but then you lose your range protection. Like, I feel like it does matter, but it also downs the cost so much, and his stats are so insane, etc. Yeah. It's reasonable.
Yeah. Again, we haven't seen it on this scale because we've now seen 2, possibly more. Like, this could be just something throughout all the Thor core where we're going to see some kind of negative across them all, and that. Anyway, it's going to be a thing to watch players adapt to it. All right, next up, Gertrude Yorks and Old Lace, runaway and animal keywords. On the run is the trait stealth, sidestep, but only if an opposing character is within 4 squares. And that's the sidestep portion. That's stealth, period, sidestep, comma, but only with if an opposing character is within 4 squares. Old Lace must be around here somewhere. Blaze Claw's Fangs, but only if an Old Lace bystander has not been generated this game. Power, once per game, generate an Old Lace bystander adjacent or in a square of hindering terrain within 4 squares. A special damage power on our first 3 clicks. Leadership, friendly characters with the runaways keyword can use ignore characters for movement. 30 points. Old Lace has flurry blades, 18 defense with combat reflexes. Has a special power on the first 3 clicks. Empower on the last 2. Jay, what are your thoughts on the new Gertrude Yorks and Old Lace?
It's pretty much WoW. Like the dial, I think like what you get is already good, and then you see the point cost. Where I feel like I would pay twice as much for this. I mean, I don't know if I would play it meta, but like I could see myself paying like 50 points for this dial, but 30 is wow. And the swing you can get on the Pog is pretty crazy, considering you have the traded sidestep, and then you can place the Pog within 4 squares.
Mm-hmm.
3 blades, autonomous.
Oh yeah, it's autonomous. Forgot to mention that.
Yeah, like, and Gert brings her own leadership, so I feel like this is good for King Shark. Is basically the takeaway. Like King Shark is good, Lockjaw is good, Animal was not hurting, but I feel like it's good.
All right, Mike.
Yeah, you pretty much covered everything that I was going to say. I mean, I'm going to play her for sure in a casual event at some point because I like the runaways, and she makes the runaways amazing with just breaking away from people, basically moving and ignoring them. Like Jay said, that Old Lace pop out autonomous with great values, especially because this is another figure then that can be utilized as an after taxi effect, right? Because somebody carries her out, she sidesteps too.
Generating Old Lace is a power.
Oh, it's a power action. Oh,
yeah.
Oof.
Oh my god! If it was
Thank
free,
God, right?
Oh
if it was free,
if it was
that's
free,
what I was thinking.
Meta immediately.
Yeah, because it would be another one of those. Let's bring her across the map and pop stuff out. Well, still great. His values. I mean, it's a natural 18 defense on a Pog is kind of crazy. And plus the combat reflexes. Yeah, I think she's great. And just like Jay said, like for 30 points. Absolutely. And Animal. There's so many things with Animal now. Like, hell, just pair her up with, what's her name there? Spider Queen. That's only 230 points, and Spider Queen can carry her around, and hopefully Gertrude just rolls leadership and takes a token off her every time. You know, why not? And I've still got 70 points left over to put other Animal stuff, like, you know, those tribbles that I can mastermind too. Or you know, maybe does Groot have Animal? That would be fun.
No,
that'd be hilarious.
He's got enough cosmic ruler.
Yeah, right. I think she's fantastic. 30 points of awesome. And leadership has shown how great it can be. Anytime you can make your action pool 4, not 3, in a 300-point event, and having Animal, there you go. Great figure.
Look at this. Oh my god, this figure is stupid.
Only thing I want to add is I want to use this with the other one from What If.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's interesting because I completely forgot what. Oh, the swing you can get is stupid because like King Shark moves himself, just is free. You can TK up, sidestep, call on the Pog. You can do a lot of stupid stuff.
Huh. All right, next but and final figure. Odin. This is the chase, also from 10,000 BC, which confuses me when it comes to this chase set. Odin has Asgardian, Avengers, Deity, and past keywords. Before Immortals were common is his first trait. Adjacent opposing characters can't be healed, can't use Protected Outwit, and can't use stop clicks. Ugh. Stop trying to escape me, Mjolnir. Free. Once per game, make a range attack with a range value of 8. That's right, just a free attack with range 8. And then his last one here, Ancient Incarnation Thor. When a friendly character named Thor hits after resolutions, remove an action token from this character. And then it's a what you see is what you get. That with the Power Cosmic comes in 175 or 120 points. Mike, Odin.
Odin's interesting. I mean, that first trait is pretty crazy. It would be off the charts if you didn't have to be adjacent to opposing characters. I think that takes some of the bite out of it because he's only got an 18 with invulnerability. And I'm talking about playing him at the lower points in that respect. So you don't want to do that. So now you're looking at having to play him really at 175 points so that he can stand toe-to-toe with somebody and take advantage of those traits and not take the ramification for it. So I don't love him for that because he's not a flyer. His move and attack is charge, not a ranged attack. He does have the trait allows the one free one, but yeah, I feel like that is what's precluding him from being really utilized in the meta because I feel like you're leaning towards playing him at higher points, but he's not really somebody you could build a tent pole around. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Jay.
Oh, first of all, we definitely need clarification on how the trait works because it's hard to tell if they mean that characters can't use the stop mechanic itself or if it also turns off other powers coming with the stop clicks. That could matter.
That's a good point. I think it means the stop mechanic the way it's worded. It doesn't say can't use powers with stop, but says can't use stop clicks.
Right. I mean, if you're probably blowing those characters past those stop clicks anyway, unless it's like literally Doomsday, so I don't think it matters either way, but it still would be nice. I had a panic attack for a second thinking that Samcap actually had passed, but it does not, so it's a relief. I think at the very least, this figure existing matters just because you can't play something necessarily and have full assurance that they'll maintain their protected outwit sort of thing. So he's kind of like a copycat in the way at the very least. I mean, I'm seeing people talk about him. I think you could do some interesting stuff with him, like play him with Joker's Wild Green Lantern, put him next to a character that you want to turn off the stop for, attack them, whatever, then put the wall between those two, him and the other characters, so then he can do the range attack. Like, I think you can do some cool stuff. And Rennet Tilly has passed and has prob and all that good stuff, so I think you can build around him. I don't know about lower, because that's really way too easy to kill these days.
Yeah, it's way too easy to kill.
Higher is not that much better, really. It's hard to say. Definitely play it for sealed, like no doubt about that.
Yeah, it's just an 18 with Invincible and the Power Cosmic was the only reason why I'm looking at higher points, right? Because at least you can't Psychic Blast that. It stops a lot of things, whereas Invulnerability, like, who cares that you can't outwit it? There's just so many things that eat through it.
There is potential. I just kind of like the Thanos. I don't know if it's right this second, but I just think that sort of idea of a silver bullet existing matters a lot. As if Doomsday was going to see play anyway. Now there's just something. Poor Tom is just really wants to play that Doomsday, but it's never going to happen. So
I'm going to be the one that says it. Alpha Strike, Thor Odin's son, -2 to the title ability. Welcome my Asgardian friend after I've hypersonicked for 12. Right?
It's hard to disagree with you, but also that's literally 295 points at least.
I mean, I said it is a supreme Alpha Strike. If it fails, you lose. But whatever it is outwitted and probably hurting from the Thor attack at least.
which is great against maybe stronger, bigger teams. Like if a Unimind, like, yeah, bomb the hell out of that Unimind. However, if you're facing off a team that's like 6 figures, things are spread out, right? Alpha Strike the one figure and the rest of them eat them alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not worth that.
But definite like casual bomb. If you want to lose all your friends at the kitchen table with that strategy I just mentioned.
Honestly, I feel like there's been a lot of figures they're showing in this set that I would want to play at some point in some event because they've got something interesting going on that I would like to see happen on the map. So I'll give them that for the set.
Yeah, there's a lot of play beyond the 300-point meta in this. Like, if you get into like 400-point casual play and you have like tabletop or kitchen table games on a semi-regular basis. Also, this set is going to see a rotation that will lose a certain number of figures that could be problematic for the set. So who knows how this set suddenly performs after a rotation, right? So
I think this is just the best I want to play a big thing kitchen table set in a long time. I mean, because we don't get those figures anymore.
It has been a while since we've had a large selection of those. So.
Yeah, like a 600, 800 point game. That's what I want.
It's going to be really annoying to see people playing just regular Avengers with the Avengers BC, being like, they have the Avengers keyword. I can technically do it.
Oh, geez. I mean, I had, in the old days, it was like Guardians of the Galaxy working, or Guardians of the Supreme Power guys, Squadron Supreme working with the Defenders because they had the same team ability.
Yeah.
The days before keywords when me and Mike were young-ish.
I was never young. Never.
I was. I didn't have gray hairs or was it? Well, okay, I was jaded because I worked in the industry.
It was weird. Like what Alpha Flight got Avengers.
Yeah. You could remember you could put Thunderbolts on Alpha Flight figures.
Yep. I remember that.
They had Avengers TA, and then Thunderbolts was just you had to have Avengers TA.
Yeah.
So that was good old rookie Black Panther. I believe he was 27 points. He had stealth. He had outwit. You could put the 8 points of Thunderbolts on him, and that way you could be picking, whatever TA that would help you on your crazy wildcard team.
Mystics.
Yeah. Oh, dude, all kinds of stuff. I did ultimates to see through stealth. All kinds of great stuff.
Remember when Ultimus Thor commanded respect in this game?
And we have another one on the way in this.
Let's see how we do with that because I hope WizKids still loves the Ultimate series.
Yeah,
he should wreck things. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, there was an unboxing yesterday, and the guy was literally flipping through the cards like one after the other. You couldn't see anything really. But
there was an unboxing.
Yeah, I don't know when. It was published yesterday. He showed a couple dials or whatever, like nothing too interesting meta wise, but. The Ultimate Thor was there, and he was uncommon. It was pretty cool to see.
Must be pre-release product.
No, it was like a full brick unboxing.
Pre-release product. Scott's always first to the gates if it's official.
But he also had a Tri-Sentinel, so...
Oh, that I know which video you're talking about.
Yeah, it was official. He's had them before, but basically...
It just was not a good video.
No, it was not the best.
He shows like 5 figures and then he just fans through a bunch of cards.
Yeah, it was like here's
man, Jervis Hedge. That's sweet. Sorry.
Also, the solicit, there is a DC set on the horizon. It is Rebirth. Jay's more excited about it than I am. He really wanted me to talk about it this episode.
I mean, it came out like 5 minutes before airtime.
Yeah, on the solicits page. So this is still at the vendor level, whatnot. Oh, Dice Tower. How did Dice Tower get a video before Scott and before us?
Yeah, I don't know. Dice Tower did like all the convention exclusives a couple years ago too. I don't know. I've never heard of him before.
Well, Dice Tower is they're a board game website or board game YouTube. I used to watch their stuff all the time, but they release so much content it was impossible for me to keep up with. I think they release like 6 or 7 videos a day because they have like 7 or 8 different people releasing videos.
I was looking at
board games, and it was just too much for me.
Yeah, I was looking at the uploads yesterday because I was trying to find the video, and it was like, what? You released like 6 videos, and
that video is probably buried already. It's insane how much they do, and it's because they do the board games in general. So, it's not necessarily like collectible games or a specific collectible game. It's like, here's board games, boom. And they're really more or less reviewing mechanics as far as board games are concerned and fun and, what's the word I'm looking for? Accessibility, as it were. Like, they really hammered on, Codenames is probably one of the best reviewed games I've ever seen. But the Dice Tower guys really hammer on it because it doesn't break language barriers, right? Until you get to Codename Pictures, which is, they're a weird channel, and they really are board game focused. And they were really big on what's the game? Dice Masters. They were really big on them. So okay, so yeah, Rebirth is going to feature exciting themes like Deathstroke's Defiance, Justice League China, the Darkest Trinity of Bizarro. I want that. Red Hood and Artemis, and then some never before clicked characters like Power Girl, The Signal, Colonel Poison, Bumblebee, Cyclone, Commander Steel, Shade the Changing Girl, Jessica Cruz, and Flex Mentallo. 16 commons, 16 uncommons, 16 rares, 12 super rares, primes of each, and 8 chases. This is due. Expected release is April 2019. Think of that as you will. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, so that's a thing. But with that being a thing, what's around the corner this weekend? The ROC Canada Cup. It's you've heard us talk about it for weeks because Mike's been practicing his butt off, along with some other folks, Emily and Devin and Jay. Jay's going to be judging. I'm going to be playing. I'm going to be playing Pure Nonsense, which I've been developing on To the Mind of Madness. There's going to be a few players from south of the border coming up. So it would be nice to get a chance to introduce them to some local color cuisine, as it were. We should take them to Swiss Chalet. Get some good junk food in them. Get some chicken in you. Some chicken.
It's funny you say that. Oh, no, I don't have those coupons. Never mind. I thought I had coupons for that.
You know, I used to have a staff discount for them because I used to work for that company, Cara Foods, as it were.
Oh.
Just about every chain restaurant in the world, or in Canada. Anyway, I'm very excited. It's going to be at the Comic Book Addiction's new location, which they're opening up this Wednesday. Description for the event is down below. Jay's connection has decided to go in and out every so often, which has been an interesting little adventure for us. And yeah, at this juncture, Mike, are you locked in on your team?
I want to say yes, and after how it played yesterday, it really was feeling really cool and enjoyable, and had some crazy math things going on with it. It's the best version of this attempt. I had another team that was my double group Cosmic team there that people saw, and I'd been fiddling around with that. I took Cosmo out and I put Lockjaw in because pretty much every team I've actually been building has had a dog on it for some weird reason. Not that I don't love dogs or something.
You like dogs?
Yeah, I like dogs. I like
you
dogs.
Like dags?
I like dags. I like dags. I gotta get a caravan for me, Mum.
For who? For me,
For me,
ma.
Mum. For me, ma. I gotta get a caravan for me, ma. Yeah, I think I have to be at this point. You know what I mean? Like, especially because after yesterday, I was loving it. I was loving playing the team. I don't think it's gonna win. I think it'll surprise some people. I think I'll have fun with it. All those things are making me want to play it right now. I think I need to do it to reinvigorate my love of the game, to get the creative juices going again, and to keep thinking outside of the box. I like to do my own thing. I know Jay likes to do his own thing when he builds. So I think this is it. I think I have to go with this team. We're going to practice again on Wednesday. I'm sure I'll have a freak out moment where I stare at the table and don't know what I'm doing and say, this is a stupid team. I'm going back to my Cosmic team. But I'm gonna say that I have no idea what I'm doing.
Nothing personal, but I'm blocking your messages on Friday. Or sorry, Saturday, because the tournament's on Sunday, right?
Yeah. Saturday. Well,
No.
Saturday, I'm blocking your messages.
They won't come until after 2. I have a food handler course I have to do for prop certification in the morning on Sunday.
2 a.m.?
No, 2 in the
Okay.
afternoon. Afternoon.
Okay, so
After
like
2 in the
I can sleep in and then block your messages. Gotcha.
Yes. Block them after 2.
Block Mike for 1 24-hour period.
Siri, block Mike for
And like 7 or 8 series from our viewers have just been activated. Alexa, volume up. Yeah, I'm actually between 3 teams, though one has just taken the lead after this weekend's events. and it's a very me thematic team, as it were. Like, it's not a me build team; it's a me theme ish. Like, the figures in it. I don't want to give away too much without giving away Into the Mind of Madness.
We have a legal Doctor Doom figure?
No, it's not that.
Power Man Iron Fist duo?
And WWE isn't out yet. Yes, the Power Man Iron Fist duo, Jay. I'm using that figure. Look, I'm trying to win a little. Though, like, let's see how I do in the sealed WKO, and then we'll talk about what I do in the constructed WKO, because those can be two different experiences for me altogether. Yeah, I'm down to about 3 teams. I haven't necessarily decided on one. Like I said, one kind of took the lead, but it's kind of new hotness. And it's something very different that I should be doing. I should be changing up the way I play, because if WizKids in their wonderful generosity decides one year that the way I play HeroClix is no longer the way they allow it in Modern, I should probably start figuring out how other ways to play the game work. You know what I mean? So that's where I stand right now. Am I going to win? Not likely. Even if I make it to like the finals, I find a way of failing at Canada Cup. It's one of those things. Like I always right now my current ROC Canada Cup Swiss record is like 9-0. And then I always like falter in the final or in the single elimination somewhere. So that's going to change this year for sure. I'm definitely going to lose games in the Swiss with the way I'm playing, or I'm not, and I'm just fooling myself. Who knows?
I mean, nobody's going to see that one thematic team coming.
I've talked to you about it, and it's something. It's something.
Yeah, it's a thing that exists.
Is it named theme or generic theme?
Neither.
It's not theme. It's thematic.
Thematic.
I had to break theme in order to make it work.
Got it.
But
it's not like my thing. Themeta.
Themeta.
Theme meta. Themeta.
It's themeta. Yeah. So I'm kind of on that brink of the 3 teams, and I've kind of broken through with one brand new spanking thing at the last second, which I really shouldn't be doing, but I'm going to anyway. And I'm going to try to torment Amber this week with a bunch of games and see if she's willing to try some stuff out with me. Though at the same time, things have kind of opened up again. People are being silly as far as the meta is concerned, which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. There is no standard meta right now. You have to plan for so many things that it's almost a point where if you're familiar with large-scale competitive games, if there's a large meta, you have to play what you're comfortable with and accept the fact that you're going to have bad matchups. And as PJ's article on majesticccg.com/apex-insiders has opened my eyes to, the meta's big. You might just have to accept that there's bad matchups for your team, and there's no team that just says, I am unbeatable. There's going to be some games where you walk into the matchup and go, this is not going to be easy for me, and you just work your way through it. Start working on your puzzle solver mind, as it were. Now, I don't want to completely rip Jay from the conversation, even though he's judging. I've focused on me and Mike and our play. Jay, what major rulings do you think players are unfamiliar with, need to know going in, and just in general should be aware of going into this event? Like if there's a familiar team that people might not know a ruling on, share it. Now's a good time to share it because more people are watching it than, not watching it.
People should definitely know how the Lockjaw pushing and I guess Ironheart pushing thing works, because that is one that people don't know about all the time as much as they should.
I still don't really know.
Okay, so basically, if there's an alternate... Okay, so because pushing damage is unavoidable, there is nothing that can get past unavoidable. So if you're dealt unavoidable damage and you have a weird thing, the unavoidable ignores it completely. So if you have a Lockjaw on click 1 and he pushes, he goes to click 2, because it's unavoidable pushing damage, nothing happens with his trait. On the other hand, if either he or Ironheart are on click 6 and they're dealt unavoidable damage from pushing or whatever, they will die, regardless of how many tokens they do or do not have. Which is important because both Ironheart pushing is good because she gains prob, and Lockjaw pushing is good because maybe he just wants to push. Maybe if you're playing against a Darwin, you want to push to click 2 because that's a really good power set, or just you want to push and you know that pushing damage doesn't really matter, sort of thing. So that matters a lot. I mean, I
just want to kind of help elaborate on this one, not to interrupt you for too long, but also note that if a character has 2 action tokens and you incapacitate them after the fact, that is penetrating and not unavoidable damage. There's a distinction.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because how incapacitate works now matters a lot, because under previous rules, if you were targeted by incapacitate when you had 2 action tokens, it was an attack that dealt damage. Now, if you incapacitate a character that has 2 action tokens, you do the attack, whatever, and then afterwards they're dealt a penetrating damage. So Mastermind does not interact with that anymore.
And so neither with the Mystics?
Huh?
Does Mystic still trigger off of that?
No, because you do it's just a I guess it's kind of like a damage that happens sort of thing.
So then you can never take the damage for the crit miss?
Well, no, crit miss is...
crit miss doesn't care if the attack is doing damage anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. If you crit miss...
never know what is going on with this game.
It's weird because it's more streamlined, but it's also different. Like, if you crit miss, you crit miss. There's no more... I feel like WizKids saw what Proteus did and was like, wait, unavoidable damage is unavoidable. Like, there's literally a line in the rulebook that says, like, unavoidable damage is unavoidable. You can't get around it, sort of thing. So...
Mike, to your issue, it's like, we're old players with new rules being introduced. The new player is like, of course a critical miss does damage to you. Why is that even a question? In the last rule set prior to the most recent massive rule overhaul, critical misses only dealt damage to the attacker if the attack was going to deal damage.
Yeah. Which is why I was crazy with incap, because if a person had a token and you incap them, put the second token on them, it's still an attack dealing no damage because the pushing damage is what's damaging the character, not my attack. But if you had 2 tokens and I incap you, it became an attack that did penetrating damage, so it was an attack that did damage, so you could get hurt from a crit miss. Oh my god.
Yeah. And then Mind Control didn't critical miss and was another one's like, I mind control you. Well, okay, I critically missed. Okay.
like isn't Bizarro Green Arrow now not good because of the change to energy explosion? Doesn't he technically get hit twice?
No, he completely eats it up.
Like, doesn't
all the energy explosion? Nom 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 nom.
That's why the words "if it was otherwise illegal" or whatever are important.
Man, it's so confusing.
Energy explosion's not uncommon these days.
No, it is not. That's why it keeps coming up. This whole target, not a target.
Yeah.
Targeting. Oh my god.
Well, here's the thing: when you
shape change,
the first target can shape change an energy explosion. Anything beside it, if that first one becomes a target, can't be shape changing.
No,
because they all become a target.
But you would still get it. But you would still get ESD.
Yes, but you wouldn't get hindering if you're a splash target.
No, exactly.
You're not drawing a line of fire. You're not crossing the line of fire.
So it's a ranged attack, and I could use this ranged defense, but I don't get the defense on range and the hindering like I normally would. I love this stuff, man. It's great. This is why people don't know what's going on.
There's a whole bunch more. The tank is not attack damage either, so it bypasses stop clicks. You can't retaliate on the tank because the damage dealing part is on the tiny tank, and that's replaced, and that effect doesn't carry over. So you can't if I attack you and only tank, you can't retaliate on anything. Shifting focus, if you attack, you can't be retaliated on. Replacement rules are stupid now.
Wait. So you can shift focus out of a colossal retaliation.
Yep, that's what Kenji was doing with the shifting focus.
I missed that.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Damn. Nice work, Kenji.
You can shifting focus poof your call in too.
Because the person who called in is no longer on the board.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Because the new shifting or the new replacement rules, they have a strict set of this is what remains.
Wow.
Yeah. Anything else weird? But the tank.
I just want to point out I like the old replacement rules better.
I like the old ones better.
It's way more. It's just shenanigans now. Like there's no negatives versus the old rule sets. It's just good.
Yeah.
And the benefit of
Well, the only negative is the equipment thing.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I feel like there's less meta-defining equipment now, except for like Mjolnir.
Anyway, there's less meta-defining equipment that's being used by shifting focus characters.
Yeah, like we're not dealing with things like possession anymore and people popping off and shifting things and yada yada.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there were other things. The tank, I get this one a lot. The tank can jump on any attack, like any attack. Like you
could be like a mind control from Professor X.
Yeah, you could have flurry with a Wolverine, tank the first attack, make the second attack, assuming you position properly to have targets. Oh yeah, more things about Lockjaw and Ironheart that are important. You can't knock them back from an attack because they don't take the attack damage, they deal the damage to themselves, unless you're dealing unavoidable damage. So if you hit Lockjaw, because knockback is determined by how many squares you removed, and if you hit Lockjaw, he moves. I mean, he's not in click, so there's no squares to knock him back.
So that's just like attack knockback, not necessarily.
Yeah, you can force blast them. You can't knock back via attack, but force blast is so uncommon. Like you can frogman or sand them, but there's no attack for like you can't take 2 tokens off of a Lockjaw by attacking and doing a knockback at the same time.
One thing I didn't want you to glaze over too quickly is something that you mentioned and people may not really realize the large ramification of with the tank and Wolverine charging and flurrying with it and the positioning. When you think of the size of the tank and how much it encompasses, so let's say there's a character way far behind the group of people, right? So here's Wolverine. He charges in on some easier target here that he can hit with the whatever lower values and all this kind of stuff. But there's a guy behind him 3 spaces that's your real target. Well, when you drop the tank and reposition, now you move that figure next to you. It's like all of a sudden you've given Wolverine giant reach on the second flurry that now doesn't have the minus to it, right? Because it's not tanking on the second attack.
No, because
and he could roll blades and roll a 6 and wipe out this character that he couldn't reach normally. It could literally be a person who's like in a hallway behind a whole bunch of characters.
That's more strategy than rules, but yeah.
But that's it. It's just you mentioned how you could use it with it. It's something that people have to be aware of is that it could be turned into this giant reach by Wolverine.
Well, the other thing with the tank, people think that if you miss with the tank, it disappears. If you miss with a tank attack, nothing happens. Oh, what else was there? I think I covered pretty much everything I had to with Lockjaw and Ironheart. Those are a pain. Pulse Wave ignoring everything pretty much now. Oh, Pulse Wave is fun now because if let's say you have a Pulse Waver and you have the targets and then you have a character behind a wall, like you can't range, shut off powers, and then attack characters within line of fire. So you could theoretically shut off powers behind a wall if it mattered. I don't know if it has any more.
Because it may not have a larger ramification, but
it more mattered when like Casey's Spectre was a thing.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty much everything that comes up a lot of the time.
Cool.
I mean, unless you guys had any questions before the event.
How easy is it for me to get all my opponents disqualified? No, I'm just kidding.
How do I not pull a colossal bonehead move and shoot myself in the foot in the first turn?
I remember one time I was watching somebody play and they just completely misplayed, and I just like, you're my friend. I really wish I could just astrally project into your body and just play for you right now. Because
it was me, wasn't it?
No, it actually was not you.
Are you sure? Because
I'm pretty sure.
It's been me at times, I know.
But yeah, rules are fun.
Was it me?
No, it actually was not.
Because I'm trying to think, like, have I done any real, like, I can't think of a single first turn bad move I've ever made because most of my first turns on my teams have been pretty clockwork muscle memory for me these years.
Canadian Nationals letting Derek blow up Mjolnir with a ranged attack.
That was a thing I didn't actually see at the time. No, this was Devin at one point. Yeah. I'm trying to... Yeah.
Canadian Nationals is turning into a curse for me. Last year was forgetting theme probs. I'm like, oh my god.
I'm surprised I didn't get more things wrong at nationals this year, considering I went to bed at 1 because we had 4 qualifiers, and then I had to be back at 8 the next morning.
This year, I think my biggest thing was letting Kenji into the underground map. That was my biggest bonehead move. That and chasing down Emily's Shark Shredder with the way I did. Oh, that cost me. That cost me good. And that was stupid of me. Because you know what? The big thing is I wasn't doing the math ahead of time. And it was after I made that bonehead move, I started my turn. I was like, hold on a second. I scored this and you scored. Oh, no, I screwed up.
Yeah, it's way harder to keep track of who's winning now. Like,
oh, yeah, totally.
It's kind of why I like the ROC last round a little bit. I've had that. I remember that one game at the U.S. Cup where literally we did not know who was winning, but you have the time, so you just count it up. Whereas WizKids doesn't really have that unless you have, like, I know that the active judge on stream, whatever. I think I've seen people like Kenny keeping the math or keeping track of the math, but otherwise it's like I had a game with Mike Payne 2 years ago at the last Canada Cup where I thought I was winning. No, 2 years ago. I thought I was winning. I don't know if he knew he was winning. I don't know. We'll never know. But I didn't realize who was winning and losing. So, yeah.
All right. On that note, I do want to just throw out some extra details. ROC Canada Cup is this Sunday, September 23rd. It's going to be 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. That is play. Pre-registration is a little earlier. It starts at 9 a.m., which is hella early. But, you need time to fill out your sheets and everything like that. And then 10:45 is their cutoff. 11 a.m. is when they expect to start round 1. Jay.
I mean, I don't run the store. I don't remember.
All lists must be neat and legible. Whoops, I'm screwed.
Yeah, I type mine up these days for that reason.
I'm going to try and pre-type because I usually make lots of mistakes. I need a couple of days.
Anyway, September 23rd at Comic Book Addiction at their new store, 701 Brock Street North, Unit 5, Whitby, Ontario. You can get tickets on their website. That's comicbookcbagames.com. You can pre-register. It is $35 Canadian to enter. And, yeah, I mean, it's exciting times. It's all come to this. And then just around the bloody corner is more WKOs starting November 3rd. I think it's 401 is November 3rd is Whitby.
No, Whitby is the 3rd and 401's the 10.
Yeah.
Or what, a week later?
Yeah. So 10th. We have a sealed WKO on November 3rd. Thank goodness. I love sealed WKOs.
Me too.
They're my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a constructed one. Not that I have a problem with constructed WKOs. On November the 10th. And then hopefully in Ontario, in Southern Ontario, Elmvale is also running an event. I haven't looked into it today. I've just kind of been keeping on top of Jacks on Queen on a semi-regular basis to see, keeping on top of their win page to see if they've done anything. I'm vamping my way into clicking and checking right now. So
I can't remember if Ottawa ended up being constructed or sealed. I think it was sealed.
Yeah, well, Ottawa does have some events still listed as pre-releases is their next thing. So pre-releases are just around the corner for this set. Holy smokes.
Yep.
Ugh. Man, so much going on in HeroClix just to end off the year. I kind of like that. So no problems there. On that note, guys, if you have nothing else to add, I'm going to move on to questions. Mike, Jay? Cool. Awesome. All right. So with that said, I do want to remind everybody that join us on our Patreon at patreon.com/marriedwithclicks. That's where our fans jump on and give us all their love, as it were. And by all their love, I mean, a couple bucks goes our way. Any evaluation on our Patreon gets you access to our Patreon Discord and our monthly Patreon Hangout, which in the month of October should be October 7th. I feel like there's something on that. That date sounds important. I'm at a wrestling event. That's going to be October 14th. October 7th, I'm at a local wrestling event. That's why I can't do that on the 7th. All right, we're going to push it to October 14th. Woof. Taking my wife and kid to that, they would have been pissed at me. Anyway, so patreon.com/marriedwithclicks. Any support kind of helps us out. Action tokens, if your token level, are on the way. They should be in the mail tomorrow to us, and then we'll mail out to them. So let's keep on that, or I'm keeping on that rather. I'm all over the place. I apologize. Yeah. So if you're watching us live, big capital letters question. If you have a question for this portion of the show, we're going to start on the Facebook, and it's been the Facebook community group because apparently nobody is getting anything from our fan page these days. Facebook, I'm looking at you. All right, but first and most important question comes from the man. It's not actually the most important question, but it is the most important question because it's an official episode. Chris Stockhouse has a question, and I do like his question. What's the weather going to be like this weekend? I also need advice on weird Canadian candies I need to bring back for all my American friends. What are some of your favorites? Now, I did send him a link, but I want you guys to share your favorites while I check the weather for this weekend.
I've already checked it. Just I was ahead of you, but that's fine. Do the candies first. I got the weather for you.
Okay. So Jay, what's your favorite Canadian-only candy?
To be honest, I didn't research the question. I'm gonna have to say Smarties by default because I don't know.
Well, you need to. It's good to create the confusion with the Smarties and the Rockets. That's why you want them to get it. Because if you tell them to get Smarties,
a pack of Smarties,
they're gonna be like, "I don't understand." The Rockets are Smarties, aren't they? No, Smarties are Smarties. Rockets are Rockets. But our Smarties they're M&Ms.
Well,
no,
but we also have M&Ms. Our Smarties are like a chalkier, lighter version of M&Ms.
Yeah,
they could taste different. They're different size.
They are different, but it's Canadian
different,
M&Ms.
But different.
Essentially Smarties.
Mike, what's your answer?
Anything maple. I mean, come on. It's Canada. I was born in Quebec, and we used to go to Cubano Sucre, which is the sugar shack, and we would have all kinds of maple syrup, and you'd pour maple syrup on things, and there's something called tier where you just pour hot maple syrup on snow, and you take a stick and you roll it up, and it's like eating a candy apple with no apple. So it's amazing. And the other thing you have to try is beaver tail. Funnily enough, we started the episode talking about
that was a different type of beaver tail.
That's right. Just for those American friends, don't worry. It is not a real beaver. It's basically like a very thin pastry, almost like a hammered out donut. And then they put stuff on top. Sometimes just squeeze a little bit of lemon and sugar on it. Sometimes you get like Nutella and bananas and chocolate sauce. It's pretty yummy and decadent. So definitely, you got to get yourself some beaver tail while you're up here in the good old Great White North, eh?
Tim Hortons has a lot of Nutella stuff now, I think.
No, that promotion's over. They're now up to Smile Cookies.
Just so you know, I'm a freak. I hate Nutella.
Weirdo. Are maple bars exclusive to here?
Maple bars?
Whatever the donuts with bacon on them or whatever. That thing, I'm trying to remember. It was like
a Canadian
I'm in like
maple
emotional turmoil here. I don't know what to think of that.
A Canadian maple which is a Boston cream donut, but instead of putting chocolate icing on top, we put maple icing on top, and we call it a Canadian maple. They definitely need to get one of them.
I have to kind of level everybody on reality here. We're going to be near Comic Book Addiction. I don't know how much time he's going to be spending in Canada.
Tim Hortons.
Yeah, obviously you got to try some Tim Hortons. I was thinking, I'm pretty sure he was thinking about what could we grab about, just grabbing a candy out of a convenience store or gas station.
I'm sure there's like some really weird stuff you could get at Bulk Barn.
Well, really, he should just go and look, because he'll look on the shelf and he'll see what the heck is that, and get because that's how I feel when I go to the States.
Yeah,
just getting like what is
a couple of heads up on this. Big Turk, don't let it fool you. It is disgusting. Just because we have it, you shouldn't. My personal answer is a Crunchy. I personally like them. They're like a chocolate bar with covering a toffee.
But they're English. They're not Canadian. They're English.
But they're not in the U.S. They're made by Cadbury's, which is the next thing I wanted to do. Is I want you, Mr. Chris Stockhouse, to grab 2 Kit Kats while you're in the U.S. And then I'm going to grab 2 Kit Kats while I'm here because Kit Kats in the U.S. are made by Hershey's and Kit Kats in Canada are made by the Cadbury Company. Yeah. So they're different recipes. I want to do a comparison. And then I want to play a game where we kind of mix all of our Kit Kats together and see if we can pick them out.
What the hell?
I don't want to respond to the comment about playing a game where you mix your Kit Kats together.
Oh, give me a break.
Don't want to. I have to know.
Dear God.
Calm yourself, Mike.
Weird euphemisms.
So yeah, personally, I'm a big fan of crunchy, but it'll get stuck to the roof of your mouth. And Mike said it's also in Britain. I don't know. What do I know? I've been to Canada and the U.S. That's about it. So caramels are another thing I heard are not available in the US.
Only?
It's not in the U.S.
I mean, they're really, really good. I just didn't know they were Canadian only.
Yeah, there's a comparison in the States. Kind of like we have Crispy Crunch, but they have Butterfinger, and they're kind of the same thing to a certain degree.
I think Coffee Crisp is also a Canadian thing.
Coffee Crisp is also a Canadian thing, and it's like a...
How do you like your coffee?
Crisp. Best advertising campaign from the late 80s, early 90s ever.
You don't know from jokes.
Oh, so speaking of all the candy stuff, am I allowed to disqualify Chris if he doesn't eat his red Smarties last? Is that acceptable
Yes,
bounds?
you know what?
He doesn't know that, though.
I mean, that's still the rule.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know.
It's on the box. He's got to read the box.
RTFB?
Like, you got to read the instructions on your candy, right, guys?
Yeah, I mean, you
When
don't...
you eat your Smarties, do you eat the red ones last? It's a question, not necessarily instructions. So can you penalize somebody for bad strategy?
I mean, kind of, if it's, like, obvious collusion. Like, yeah, I'm just going to move my pieces in the center of the map. You can just win. Like, that's,
By the way, the weather in Toronto, Saturday, 19 Celsius.
Oh, yeah.
Friends.
Do not adjust. Make him figure it out.
Don't bring a parka. 19, but with a low of 13, so they get a little bit chilly.
So you won't,
here.
hold on. So don't bring your toque, eh?
Don't bring your, well, you can wear a toque. It'll get a little chillier in the later afternoon there. And then on the Sunday, it's supposed to be 18, high 18 with a lot of rain and low at 12. So you might want to bring a hoodie, which I think you guys call sweaters.
Don't give them the. Don't translate. Make him figure it out.
if he wants to bring his bunny hug, he has to bring it from home.
If you think you're going to have to step out back to have a dart at some point, you better bring a hoodie and a toque, or else you'll freeze off your whatsits.
Oh, I don't think he hacks the darts there, eh?
Oh, okay, good. But we do have socialized healthcare if he does.
Yeah. It'll help you with your lungs there, eh? Right. Next up, Matt Gardner. My LGS, my local game store, is running our first WKO. What are some things that make or break a good tournament that draws a larger player base than the locals? Things to include, pitfalls to avoid. Okay, if this is a WKO level, you need to make sure your judge is up to date on the win rules. That's a very important fact. You also have to make sure your judge/tournament organizer are super prepared. I suggest wherever you're running the venue, make sure you have access to their internet. Make sure they give you access to the internet so that you can use the win. You do not want to be doing this by paper. You will feel bad. And it will also slow down the tournament. People want this to kind of be smooth to a certain degree. But even when you are trusting the win, don't trust the win. Especially once players start dropping. When players start dropping, the win loses its mind. And honestly, I don't know how much tech support they have as far as that's concerned. I would offer it to them, but I can't because I don't know that kind of web programming. I don't know their background, the background stuff. So be aware of these pitfalls of the win. Make sure you're very well, judges are well versed in the rules, super organized. Maybe have more than one judge, depending on how many people you plan on having in there. If you're looking at like 30 or more, I'd suggest the idea of 2 judges, but make sure both judges are like covering a half of the room, that kind of thing. and maybe designate a head judge to do like a final ruling type of idea. Because sometimes, you know, a rule will come into dispute. And then one judge has to say, look, this is the final decision. If you guys got a problem with it, tough, you can go deal with somebody else somewhere else. You know, firm hand in that case. Other than that,
start on time.
No, that never happens. Don't lie to them.
Do whatever you can to start on time, and as part of
lying.
that, no, I'm saying do your best to start on time, because whatever time estimate you think it's going to take, however long you think this tournament's going to take, in your best estimate, you were wrong. Mm-hmm. It's going to be double that.
Yeah,
and I'm not kidding. Yeah. It's going to be double that. If you think this is going to be a 5-hour tournament, give yourself 10 hours to get this thing done. And you think we're crazy, but we're not.
We've done this.
It always happens. Rounds do not. A 45-minute round does not mean that each round's going to go 45 minutes. It's 45 minutes of play time. It's probably 15 minutes of setup and getting people in their seats and figure out who am I playing and da-da-da-da. Oh, wait a minute, this is wrong and we have to readjust this. Oh, wait, I have a rules question before we start and da-da-da-da-da. And then there's the changeover in between. So, yeah, man, give yourself lots of time. That's why I say start on time, because if you start late, everything's going to just snowball after that, man. Got to start on time. But at the same time,
don't panic if you don't start on time, because Mike is developing a panic situation for judges that's never, and you're just not creating a realistic situation. No tournament ever starts on time. No. But if you set up a lot of time for registration, guess what? Nobody's going to use that extra time. They're all going to come in the last 10 minutes.
Exactly.
That's this. Welcome to reality.
Start on time.
Right? Playing. Originally, I used to be big on team checks at the beginning. It's not feasible anymore for a WKO. Like, make sure you do a quick check of teams as you go. But for the most part, get the first round opponents to do it. If they have any questions, just make sure before the first round, everybody's team is somewhat fine. Try and make sure they're legal by the beginning of the first round. There's only so much you can do. Don't overthink that particular situation. And then if all of these things kind of get met, people have fun, and you're not losing your mind, you're not yelling at people. People aren't like, oh my God, when's the next round starting? You know, be communicative and be transparent. Like, hey guys, just a quick delay. We've lost internet connection, so we're trying to get it back to get the next round started. A lot of stores like to print the round off, because there is an option to use the PDF on the Win in order to print off the round pairing, so that you can just tape it up, so you don't have to yell every individual round. Trust me, I suggest that way. If the larger the event, the less realistic doing that becomes. And yeah, those are the best things I could possibly suggest, you know? And like Mike said, try to start on time, but at the same time, make sure your venue knows it might run late. Prepare them for that aspect, because it's not might run late, it will run late.
It'll run late. Yeah. It's going to run late.
Like, I think on average, Comic Warehouse, when we run a major HeroClix event, they open on time, and then I tell them we're going to run until maybe a little after 6, just as a heads up. And I think my best so far has been 6:30, and I'm shoveling people, get out. These guys want to go home on a Saturday. So that's the best advice I can offer. Other than that, calm, relaxed. It's just a big version of your local events with more strict rules.
It can't hurt to say hi to players as they're coming in, right? He's saying it's a new venue and you're trying to bring people in. Can't hurt to sort of just introduce yourself real quick as people are coming in, say hello, maybe find out where they're from to know whether or not this is a person who's just coming in for that one event, or is this somebody who's local and is looking for a new home for their Clix games. So that's something you can look into as well.
Jay, anything you wanted to add that we might have missed?
I mean, I could have gone first, but I think you covered most of it.
I've run enough of these events.
As a judge, I definitely had situations where I let players argue with me for too long. But I've learned that you do not let that happen, because you are the judge.
Really? That's happened, Jay? Really?
Yeah.
In my idea what you're make sure there's 2 judges, and then you have one head judge who makes the final ruling.
Even then, I've had people argue with me, and it gets to the point where,
that's their problem. That's the ruling. You either deal with it, or I'm calling you installing if you keep arguing.
I've had to go as far as giving a warning for that. I don't
witnessed these.
I don't necessarily always do the head judge thing because it's like if I'm running an open, it's usually me and the one other judge, Glenn. The system we usually do is you call one of the judges over. If you want to appeal it, the other judge will come over and we'll discuss it and agree amongst ourselves. Make sure that players know that you are the judge and their opponents are not their best friend who is going to answer their rules questions. That one can go really badly.
Stay away from my table when I'm at the head table, Jay.
Come on, we know you're not friends.
All the more reason I want him away from my table. Especially when I'm losing to Kenji, Jay. Got him. I got him.
I'm just trying to think what else is there. I think that was pretty. I think you covered it pretty well.
Cool. All right. On to the next one then. Mr. Aaron Cantu wants to know, who is the best female HeroClix player? There's only one correct answer, Jason Collins. So my answer on this one, you know, there's also but there's also
there has to be somebody that can read lips somewhere.
What's that? Oh, dude, I'm not even saying anything on the
Of course, he's not stupid.
You think I'm gonna bury myself?
Happy wife. Happy
It'd be really
life,
funny also
man.
if you did that and didn't show your face on camera at the same time.
But you know what? I can't.
You know who the best female HeroClix player is? My wife, and she doesn't play HeroClix. She's the best HeroClix player ever.
Aaron Kent is really good at trolling us, by the way.
Happy wife, happy life.
Jay, I'm not going to let you try to answer that question and embarrass yourself. Andrew Fairweather wants to know, what toothpaste do you guys currently use? Crest Baking, or what? Hold on. Sensodyne. Who's using Arm & Hammer these days? Baking soda toothpaste. Mike.
My wife's weird hippie. I'm using this stuff called Magic Mud that's like activated charcoal and stuff. And it's the weirdest thing in the morning to brush my teeth and have like blackness I'm spitting out, yet I have really white teeth.
Yeah, my girlfriend has a thing you can use to brush your teeth with activated charcoal. It makes it pretty white.
It's the weirdest thing in the world, but that's
the hell is wrong with toothpaste?
And there's cloves in it. Fluoride. Fluoride's really bad. It's a blocker.
It's a neurotoxin?
It is a neurotoxin.
Oh my god. The chemtrails are going to get us, guys.
No, not the chemtrails.
Anyway, he actually has a real question. Oh, Jay, do you want to answer this question?
It's very. I mean, I could literally go check. I'm pretty sure it's some sort of Colgate extra whitening, whatever. But if I'm my girlfriend, she has this like for kids chocolate flavored one, and it's really weird.
We've lingered too much on the joke question, guys. That was the joke question. He wants to know what piece Ruben was looking forward to in the new set. I'm at Iron Fist. Mike?
Oh, that's terrible.
Well, hard to say because we haven't seen them all yet, and knowing all the stuff in the set, man. You know what? Actually, I'm excited. I hope they do Capwolf again in the Spider Island storyline to save him from the spider infection. He gets injected, or he gets the Moonstone thing again, and becomes Capwolf again. So I'm down with the Capwolf. There's also a Lizard Hulk in that storyline. I kind of want all of the hybrids of the Spider Island people, like the vampire Ms. Marvel. So, yeah, that's what I'm excited for.
All right, Jay?
Like, are we talking stuff that we like dials that we know already? It's hard to say because, like,
what, you gotta overthink it, man.
I mean, Spider-Man is my favorite Marvel character, but we haven't really seen a Spider-Man yet. But we know there's Spider stuff coming. If we're talking dials that have been shown, I really like the Destroyer Thor non-prime.
Just to let you know, though, Jay, the irony is that in the Spider Island Battle World storyline, the only one without spider powers is Peter Parker.
Really?
I don't know if we will get a Spider-Man because...
I mean, we have like Spinneret and all those random ones. I don't know where
because all of them are in it. Or no, Spinneret's from Regency. It's a different storyline. That's where Iron Man and like everybody has to wear armor and some weirdness or whatever.
I barely started reading any of this stuff. I don't know. I don't know. I like Asgardian stuff. I like Spider-Man. It's all good.
All right. Next question comes from PJ Bolin, former member of the show, and once again another troll question: who is going to win the Canada Cup, and why is it Chris Stockhouse? I mean, he asked all these questions about Canadian candy. I might actually give him some, but should he trust what's in the package?
He's got to get it out of your van.
Yeah. But I don't own a van, Mike. Oh. I see.
And my answer is Emily, by the way.
Oh, Mike's answer is Emily. My answer...
It would be too funny if he actually just dropped the shit on the show.
Jay, what's your answer?
Oh,
we have more questions to go. If I saved this question for last, I'd stop broadcast.
I'm gonna not answer considering I'm judging the event.
Yeah, exactly.
Smart.
See, and then he would do something stupid like find a way to make that player win and disqualify all their opponents at the last second.
But what if I manage to disqualify both players in the final? Does that mean I win? Because who's left at that point?
Third place.
Oh, so me. Sweet.
But they've already been eliminated at that point.
Doesn't matter. They're still third.
Yeah. I'll take a win anyway.
Highest place is like the presidency. And plus, they already have part of their prizing already.
I can hit third, man.
All right. But Lucas Van Hollen goes on to say, I think PJ has a civil duty to ensure this becomes a reality. And then Chris also turns around and says, he's providing half of my pieces for my main force. So we stop PJ at the border, and Chris can't build his team.
I mean, they're traveling together, I think so.
Then there we go.
Don't we have like a ginger limit in this country that we've hit?
Yeah, but Mike P doesn't play anymore. So.
Damn it.
Yeah, it's a HeroClix ginger limit.
Damn it.
All right. Next up, Christmas Smotherman wants to know, M. Bizarro Green Arrow dead? I mean, he's not dead. He's just not on the teams people are playing.
But if you read that question in Bizarro speak, it's actually, is he alive? Or is it a trick question?
I don't know.
I built with Bizarro Green Arrow recently, actually, because monster keyword is good.
So. He was a consideration on my monster build, and I just went with the extra Dr. Frankenstein and extra Groot.
I think a recent build, because I did the Ymir Fringe article, I think I did a monster theme, including Dark Knight Returns Joker, because Professor X makes Mastermind suck. So
I love that his sound dropped, and I don't know if it's an accident.
No, it was not.
Have a mute mic.
I hear him.
Okay.
I hear
you now.
There's a lot of energy explosion. Professor X inspiration, or Professor X as a clone is a thing. I think there's enough out there that he kind of matters. So,
all right, Mike. Thoughts on Bizarro Green
Arrow? Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen him in a while. Anything that can sort of draw your target to something other than you want is still a thing. So he still has potential. So yeah, he just, for whatever reason, other stuff is taken over, and what he's bringing to the table, people don't feel is covering enough bases, or they don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe part of what happened with that is it felt like for a while there was a shift in the game to the whole like really move across the map and then do the whole free action thing, like with Overdrive and Doc Ock and taxis with Sam Cap and Shredder stuff. So I think maybe because people were being more aggressive and getting in the face, that people felt like they didn't need to protect against range. Maybe that's why he slipped out of the radar a bit. Who knows?
Well, also on top of that, the Sam Cap could call in Chase Hawkeye, who basically completely destroys Bizarro Green Arrow. So
yeah.
All right. Next up, Michael Hilton asks, did you hear about many of us going to the ROC 3v3, or a lot of people from the ROC 3v3 championship that was in Alabama are now Canadian provincial champions? Yeah. I want to share one. Mr. David Paul Gosselman sent me this. He is currently the Saskatchewan state champ.
I didn't know that they annexed Canada yet.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't annex Canada. They took Saskatchewan. We were trying to get rid of it anyway.
Wow. Well, all right.
Yeah, that was an interesting little.
I didn't even know Saskatchewan had players.
Maybe that's why the ROC still had those.
But hey, I think that's good for them then. Hey, more players with socialized healthcare.
I wonder. I know they did all. I think they did all the states this year, but there's definitely no way they did all the provinces, right? Like,
there's something about the print issue where I think it was supposed to say provincial champion, and it said state champion.
It would have been really funny if they accidentally printed like Nunavut or something. Like, I'm the Nunavut provincial champion.
I would kill for that.
That'd be so good.
Nunavut became a territory in my lifetime. Like, I work with people who were born, and Nunavut has always been a thing.
Look, at Pluto's been a planet, and then not a planet, and then a planet, and then not a planet, and now I don't know what it is.
And let's not even get started on the Brontosaurus.
Yeah.
Okay. David X. Brzezinski, I must have misunderstood. The whole community is telling me that I'm wrong, but I thought ID characters disappeared immediately after your opponent's turn and could do nothing. But I am being told unanimously that when you may do leadership before removing the ID card. And what about poison? Second question: what is the significance of the beginning of your turn being underlined in relation to not being underlined? The underlining is new notation. That's all it is. It's drawing your attention to the fact that old versus new kind of thing. And as far as the ID card thing, as long as it's the beginning of the turn effect, you can do it before removing the character. So like leadership, yes, but poison, no, because poison is a free, and once you're taking active actions that aren't beginning of the turn effects, you cannot, you are out of the beginning of your turn, and therefore poison can't happen. Leadership can, though.
But also keep in mind that the way leadership works now, you can roll for the token, but you don't keep the extra action anymore.
That's right.
Because that's just a constant. It's a constant check, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, a unique modifier, basically.
It's a constantly rolling modifier that has to be there active at all times in order to get the extra action.
And there is a difference, as Jay helps remind me, and I appreciate it, between at the beginning of your turn and until your next turn. Until your next turn stops before at the beginning of your turn. Those are actually two different periods of time.
Yeah, essentially the expiration date or expiration there is when your opponent's turn ends.
Yes. Would be the until your next turn, as opposed to at the beginning of your next turn, which is at the beginning of
so if you have a pick a power character that activates pick a power as a free action, they can never roll for leadership.
Yeah, that was the great example of it. It was that my leadership
doesn't need powers anymore. There's nothing that can roll leadership as a pick a power. Unless like Unimind got leadership somehow, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Andrew Fairweather has another one. Actually, actions resolve. How does that work? Okay, so I take an action, and let's say it's a charge action. Because this is a little bit more complex and might help you understand it. Charge allows me to move half my speed, half my movement, and then make close as a free.
Isn't it at no cost now?
Something at no cost. Sorry, you're right. At no cost. And then the action resolves after the attack is made. So after you've rolled your attack, hit or miss, that's when the action resolves. It's after everything's done is when an action will resolve. It's like an active action. So things like a critical miss. If you're in the middle of a flurry, the action hasn't resolved until you're done the second attack. So if you critically miss, don't take damage yet until you're done your second attack. Same with Mystics. So if you're flurrying a guy with Mystics, you hit, they take Mystics is recorded, and then you attack again. And if you hit again, you're going to be taking 2 Mystics after the action is done, but your dial won't change state.
Also relates to things like theme prop.
Yes.
And a character who may have a power that relates to the number of tokens on them. So let's say it says when they have 0 or 1 tokens, they get a modifier. If they've got 1 token, they go to use theme prob. You don't place that token until the resolution of the action.
Yes.
So they maintain that +1 modifier for the attack, regardless of now having a second token, because it hasn't come to the end.
I'm pretty sure you're right, but for the wrong reason. I think
Isn't it?
Yeah. I think you get the token immediately for theme prob, but a while back there was a ruling that basically, if for some reason, like if there's an attack roll that's made, the dial changes. Like, let's say you make an attack and the stats change in the middle somehow. You keep the stats that were used at the beginning. Like, yeah, like let's say you get a token that gives you +1 defense, but you already did the attack roll, so you use the calculated values at the beginning. Like, your values can't change mid-action, basically.
Yeah, and pushing is determined after the resolution of immediately after action is resolved.
Yeah.
And that's a weird thing, because pushing, if you have an action that occurs after action is resolved, pushing still has to occur first because it's immediately after action is resolved.
Immediately supersedes order of active effects.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there was a situation where I saw a Surtur retaliated crit missed, and then the crit miss happened before the secondary effect after the action resolved happened. So that can actually matter a lot.
Crit misses are immediately after action resolve?
It was either crit miss or mystics. One of them was immediate, but his extra damage is after resolutions.
Yeah, because mystics is after resolutions as well.
Right. One of the two was immediate. I can't remember, but like there was either it was an unavoidable damage that happened immediately or something. But keep in mind the effects, because order of active effects is important.
Yeah. All right. We go into the chat now. Last call for chats. Happy Little Herclix has a question directed at Mike. What does food handler certification entail? With your mic on, I hope.
Unless that was on purpose.
Unless you're doing that like I was doing.
This is apparently
I can't find it now. Basically, because of the fact that in props I give food to actors and stuff on set, and they're actually eating these things. It's a workplace,
food
so I have
process, yeah.
Exactly. So how to prepare food in a safe environment, making sure that there's no contaminants, how I'm handling them, gloves and cleaning and cross-contamination, all that stuff, to make sure that I don't give something to an actor that potentially makes them sick.
That's funny.
Spit buckets a thing?
Yeah, spit buckets are a thing.
The food going into them can still be ingested. It still has to follow food safety protocol.
Absolutely.
Yeah, obviously. You're not going to give somebody contaminated food.
Well, here's the funny part, guys, is that there was no actual legislation or rules in place that said that we had to have food certification to do that. We were all just naturally learning how to do it and keep it safe. And I am actually the member of my union who brought it forth and made it mandatory for my department to have it, because I take actors' lives very seriously. So, when you see actors eating, we give them real stuff, man. Except for ice cream. I give them lard. It's the whole thing.
This is the same kind of thing I had to do as a chef. So
yeah, it's exactly the same stuff. It's it's provided by the Ontario Board of Labor, and I could parlay it if I wanted to go work in the food industry. It's exactly the certification that you would have.
You don't want to work in the food industry.
No, I do not. I have chef friends, and no, I don't.
You have ex-chef friends who do a YouTube channel with you.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Next up, Nolan Lake. Looking to invest in my first whole brick of HeroClix. Do you think this set would be a good option for a balance of competitive pieces and casual fun, or should I choose a different brick? I always like to say new hotness gives you the longevity of choice in this matter. So, like, this is the new hotness, and there's going to be modern rotations down the future. And this, if you get this set now, if you compare it to all the other sets that are out, this set will last the longest in modern compared to those. You'll get more time to play with it, et cetera, et cetera. We don't know enough. I personally feel like we don't know enough about the set to give an educated answer on this, and telling you how to spend your money, especially Mr. Lake at your particular age, is a very dangerous thing for me to do. So all I can inform you is I don't know enough, but take with that as you will. And like I don't like to tell people how to spend their money. If you're looking to play competitively, you always buy singles, but you have to keep track of the metagame, and depends on how you want to build. If you want to play just in general, and you have a casual group of players to play with, a brick is not a bad investment ever. Because there's that, if you just happen to bomb out a competitive all the time, but you have friends who come over, it's like, hey, let's throw a bunch of figures together on the table and play the game. We'll just really love the game. That's great. That a brick gives you that availability. But I will not say in any way, shape, or form that this is an investment worth having in that manner. That kind of informs.
I think the other thing worth noting is that if you buy like new stuff, new hotness, and you want old stuff, you can just, because stuff goes down in value over time in general. So if you get a cool new chase, you can probably trade it for a bunch of older stuff if you need that sort of thing.
All right.
I'm also going to bite my tongue on this question.
Well, I will just say this, because, and I won't mention any either, but think about what you want out of it. So if you're looking more competitive, then just look at what's out there and what people are playing and what's on the bulk of teams, and you will see maybe what sets they're coming from. You can go that direction. But if you want more casual, then, why wouldn't you get the newer stuff and have it be fresh and try it out and have fun with your friends and enjoy it? WizKids is going to keep coming out with product. We're going to keep having new things. Every set's going to have a different thing. And on top of that, because you're talking about buying a brick, there's no guarantee what's coming out of it anyway. So you could be talking about a particular set and saying, this set looks like it's got all the hotness and all the meta pieces. You might go buy a brick from that set, and you might not even get those meta pieces. You might get one of them. There's no guarantee to it. So there is no, yes, go and buy this and it will work for you. You can't do that. There's too much randomness to it. Yeah. So you need to buy what you like and that you will enjoy and you will play the most out of, because that's where you're going to get your investment. So if it's got competitive and it's got fun pieces in it, that's probably the set for you, because you'll always have an opportunity to play those figures.
And to kind of curtail a slightly dangerous statement Jay made, and it's not like it's one of those things. Jay makes a conversation like he's having a conversation with another adult, and like one of us, say, who we know we're all going to invest in a brick and a half of HeroClix or a case and a half of HeroClix. But when it's like your first brick, you have to understand that a brick is not going to guarantee you a chase. And I get this a lot, even from full-grown adults. I had a guy who comes to me on a regular basis and says, guys, I didn't get a chase in my brick. Is this a bad set for that? And it's like, every set's a bad set if you're looking for a chase and all you're buying is a brick, because a brick is only a 50-50 shot of getting a chase in most cases. There are the rare cases like Batman the Animated Series where you could buy a case and you could be pretty well assured that you're getting a chase in it because they threw so many Super Friends into that set, right? But this next set is going to follow the more standard rule of you might get a chase, you might not. You might get a prime, you might not. And like the only thing I can assure you is there's going to be at least 2 super rares in there. And even that is kind of a lofty promise. So
yeah, WizKids doesn't guarantee anything.
Yeah, no. There's no guarantee on your rarity. So as long as you understand all of these factors, so far it seems like I said, I'm going to buy a case and a half, but that makes me a bad case because I always acquire a case and a half. I don't buy the full case and a half. I do have to be honest about that one. Thanks, WizKids. Love you.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said about the chases because I still see people saying, what's the distribution like? And it's almost always 1 per case. Like the 1 per brick is an exception.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing is guaranteed.
Lightning can strike twice, man. Like I've watched people blind pull boosters and pull gold, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm going to get a booster, and then you pull garbage, and then they pull gold. Like, there's no guarantee, man. Never think there's a guarantee. It's Schrodinger's cat in that box every single time.
And I do have to say, on that note, at our local store, Amber and me had been purchasing X-Men packs one at a time here and there. And like we've been keeping count, like we're down to like 2 packs left in the brick. And I was thinking to myself, the next time I'm in the store, which will be the Sunday, which is when we usually go, I would go in and grab the last 2 packs because it looked like they were going to be at least a super rare based on what we'd seen. And one of our lovely viewers. I love the man. He was a wonderful person to meet in person. He came from the Barbados, picked up those last 2 packs, and there was a Wolverine in there.
Ooh.
That's just a funny aside based on what Mike just said. It's like I was going to get those 2 packs the very next day that I had met this guy. It's like I both loved and hated him on first meet.
It's funny you say that because 401 had 2 Thor Super Boosters and they were $40, which is 30 American. I was like,
You're not going to believe what came out of these things.
50 shot, it's good or bad, basically. And then I saw somebody local posted a Surtur and a Carnage, and I later found out that's where they came from.
I'm so upset that I didn't. Oh my god,
dude! If
I still don't have a Carnage.
Like, I feel like Super Boosters are if you see it, you buy it sort of situation. It's worth the risk almost every time.
I mean,
but then
Thor also. Like, you can't find Thor.
I got a bad gambler's mentality sometimes too, so don't trust my judgment on these things sometimes. All right, last question that I have here. Nolan Lake. Okay, so to kind of lead both Mike and Jay into this question, on Into the Mind of Madness, I've been talking about the all common all fast force format for a little bit of time. It's something I've done for a tournament. I really enjoy the idea of it, and I really want to make it just a thing that everybody accepts into the world of HeroClix. It's accepted in the world of Magic, and that's kind of where I set my basis of. It's a fun format in Magic as well, but it's also kind of created its own semi-competitive metagame, which is cool. I own a very competitive version of one of the decks, and Nolan, who's probably been watching the show, wants to know our thoughts on a format is only consisting of commons team consisting of the Joker from Batman the Animated Series, Commissioner Gordon from Joker's Wild, Batman from Elseworlds, and Batman Beyond, and Avengers Defenders War, Fast Forces Punisher. So this kind of looks like the idea that 2 characters are going to be super strong in the format, and that would be Batman Beyond and Cable. They're obvious dominant forces in an all commons only sort of format. So you're on to something because Batman Beyond is good, and it looks like you're putting a lot of gumption into him because you got that Joker for adding prob and a lot of PD and enhancement perplex on the team. I'm not sure about the Elseworlds Batman myself in this particular situation because when I used the Elseworlds Batman on my team, I had 4 attackers. When I was building that team that had the Green Lantern on it. So was it 4 or 3? 3 or 4 attackers on my team. So consider maybe a couple more different characters that are there for boosts, because it looks like you're putting a lot of boosts into the Batman Beyond, which is good strategy because he's 100 points to your team and he's really strong. So that's a thought. Athena's also another strong one that could show up in the format. She's Power Cosmic and she's common. Shared thoughts there, Mike?
Yeah, I think you pretty much covered it. It looks interesting. I like that Batman Beyond figure a lot. He's a great figure. Ignoring hindering for line of fire with a running shot psychic blasting character is great. Cable is completely off the charts in that common event. I remember at Canadian Nationals last year when we were doing team building, and we convinced you guys to do the double Cable team with, I think it was the Storm that had the Perplex and the Free Smoke Cloud.
Yep.
That Cable is gross. Like, yeah, he owns in that format. So definitely, if you're building around him and you're coming up with ways of jacking up their stats, I think you're on the right track.
Jay?
I'm not sure how I feel about the Punisher, considering that the 2 big threats in the format have the handy-dandy stuff, but otherwise, it's looking like a solid team that is forming there.
Mr. Cliffix did add that Athena is good, and that's one figure I keep overlooking in the format. 125 points, Power Cosmic. Got a lot of power behind her for sure. And I think it's that last click is super scary to be on, or to have her on. I'm actually just kind of looking up what that Punisher that he mentioned is, because I have no idea. Oh, he's got the Spider-Man team ability. Does anything here have Superman team ability? Is it about being a good, interesting add to the team?
It's weird though, because Popper is a little vague sometimes. Like I saw there was
I'm working on a unified rule set that I kind of want to push across the world.
Yeah. I mean, I think we disagreed on starters and fast forces, didn't we?
Well, that is like I personally think starters and fast forces fit because it's a thing that anybody gets. Like everybody who owns a fast forces and starters has exactly the same figures, and like the way the popper format kind of looks is like if it's common, everybody has easy, if not available, access to it. Yeah. And while fast forces are sometimes limited in stores, there's still I bought the Fast Force. I have all the figures in the Fast Force. And this guy bought a Fast Force and has all the figures in the Fast Force. And generally is also easier on notation because everything white tabbed just works. And I was also okay with like the common ID cards, the student ID cards, because in the end, I think there was like 3 usable ones because you still had to have a sideline that consisted of common characters.
I'm totally going to play Artie. Like, it's going to happen.
Artie, yeah, this is what it is. Artie changes the game, kids. Artie, new meta.
It changes the game in that if your opponent's playing it, you start to worry about them, and if they were dropped on their head.
You don't want to win too well, because they may react in a way that you're not ready for. All right. On that note, Mike, Jay, anything you want to add before we go?
No.
Jay?
No.
All right. Then on that note, I do want to thank everybody for watching live, everybody who's watching in the archive. I also want to thank our sponsors over at MajesticCCG.com/Apex-Insiders, your one-stop source for all kinds of things in HeroClix world. The Apex-Insiders portion is your strategy realm. It's $3 a month, gets you brain dumps from some of the big brains in HeroClix. And one of the biggest brains being PJ Bolin, who recently posted an article just outlining what's in the metagame. Mentioned my team incorrectly. No, just kidding. It's a joke I have with him. But overall, it's a really great read. It really gets you ready for what's competitive in the metagame. Non-strategy articles do come out available to everyone who just visits MajesticCCG.com. It's just a wonderful site, and Patrick's been supporting us for a long time. So send a little bit of love his way, and it's always appreciated at his end, I'm sure. Jay is a regular contributor. I'm a semi-regular contributor. I actually have to put a conclusion. I've been staring at an almost finished article for like a month or for like a week now. It's really annoying, and I'm really bad at this. Anyway, I want to thank them. I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/marriedwithclicks, our wonderful sponsors who have opened their wallets to help us keep this channel beautiful. Myself and Amber are working on a new schedule for the channel, just as a heads up, where we're going to try to get something out daily, though the weekend is going to be a little bit more automated in that sense. We're trying to get as much content to you guys as we can because our patrons have been doing a wonderful job of supporting us, and we owe everybody that much. So without further ado, Canada Cup is around the corner. Got to get those last couple practice games in if you're coming there, and it is this Sunday, September 23rd. Pre-registration starts at 9 a.m. In Whitby, 701 Brock Street North, ROC Canada Cup. Get those last games of practice in because practice will make your team better. Have a good night, everybody.